What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in to a brand new show right here. Hold on, I'm going to take this again. There's a police officer going right by.
I'm leaving that in.
You got to be shitting me, man.
That's gonna be.
We're 15 seconds into this thing. What's going on, everybody? Welcome on into a brand new show right here on the Takedown on SI YouTube channel. This is the Takedown Discussions. I'm your host, Zack Heydorn, and that is Rick Ucchino. Rick, what's up, dude?
Let's go, man. I am excited. This is a project that has been in limbo for like literally 4 months, I think. I think we put out one of these and we're like, all right, hey, we're going to do this. Then we didn't do it. And now we're doing it. We are really going to start putting in some effort and building up this YouTube channel. We appreciate everybody who has subscribed so far. I think we're up over 600 subscribers so far, and we really are just scratching the surface of what we want to do with this YouTube channel. So thank you guys so much. Like, share, subscribe, do all that. We are going to be with you guys here on the Takedown Discussions every Friday morning to start talking about the big topics of the week and get you ready for the week ahead. And there's so much wrestling to talk about, but we're going to try and nail it down to, what you guys are talking about. And obviously what a lot of people are talking about, Zach, this week is the Revolution is finally televised again. Thank Jesus the Revolution is televised again.
Man, first of all, if you're watching this, go ahead and hit like on the video. That always is a big help for us. Subscribe to the audience channel. That goes without saying these days, but we appreciate it. Ricky Starks in NXT, kind of a surprise appearance, not because I think it was so surprising to think about Ricky Starks signing with WWE and appearing in NXT, but it was the clip at which he did it upon leaving AEW. Almost, within days, he's showing up on NXT. So, Rick, when you think about Ricky Starks in NXT, what's the upside in your mind for him, knowing what you know, seeing what you've seen in AEW and elsewhere? How high of a ceiling does this guy have?
I think he's main roster ready right now. I just think it's not the best time to introduce him onto the main roster because of where we are in that time of the year. And I think that's why Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful.com reported this. It's like most of the WrestleMania storylines, at least most of the major ones, are well into the works. They've nailed down. They've been penciled in. How do you, it's more of a task to try to squeeze a Ricky Starks into the main roster fold than it is in NXT right now, where he can show up and he's instantly if not one of the guys. Yeah, I look at this as kind of like an Ethan Page level signing, where Ethan Page came in and literally almost immediately won the title. He won the NXT Championship his first month in the company and set a record, which I think only Julia broke a few months later. But still, we've seen this a lot where Julia comes in and boom, she's top of the mountain. Ethan Page, boom. Ricky Starks is a guy. If you've never watched AEW, if you don't know who Ricky Starks is, you will very, very, very quickly. He's a 5-tool player. He's got everything that you want in a professional wrestler. Obviously, he can work in the ring. He can tell a story both in the ring and outside of the ring. He's great on the mic. He's got charisma. He just oozes star power. He's got everything. I think Ricky Starks, much like a Jade Cargill, you put the WWE machine behind him and the way that they can present a star, cross the fingers that Def Rebel doesn't fuck up his theme. And yeah, I think the sky's the limit. I think he's going to come in. He's going to be a major player on NXT. I don't see it being a long run. I would be stunned this time next year if he's still on NXT. I think after WrestleMania season, I think would be a great time to hotshot him up onto the main roster. Obviously, he's got a great advocate up there in Cody, good friends with Cody Rhodes, obviously. So he's got that pulling for him, but I don't think he's going to need, the American Nightmare calling in any kind of favors. I think he's going to earn his spot. This is the perfect spot for him. And I agree with you. This isn't a surprise that he's here. It's how fast they got this deal done. It wasn't days, Zach. It was hours. Hours. This man was a free agent Monday. He shows up and does the Daniel Bryan out of necessity But on NXT, he's out there in a white t-shirt at no music, no name, because they couldn't even
say
really
his name. He didn't say his name.
He couldn't. The crowd was saying it for him. Nobody could say his name because they didn't have like the licensing or anything yet. That's how quickly I would not be stunned if this man didn't even put pen to paper before he was out there. Like they may have still been writing his deal. And he just walked out there and was like, hey, you know who I am? You know why I'm here. Let's shake this bitch up. Let's go. I loved it. I love the fact that they struck while the iron was hot on this.
And I love the promo too. Like you got a taste in that, whatever it was, that 2 minutes of the charisma that Ricky Starks brings to the table. I mean, the guy, so you could say what you want about him, but he's authentic. He's an authentic wrestler where it's like I feel like if I were to see Ricky Starks at like a Jewel, which is a supermarket here in Chicago, like that'd be the guy. Like that would be him. You know, the volume's turned up a bit, but he's real in that regard. I'm with you as far as like what his upside is. You know, he, especially in WWE, especially with a team of writers, especially with all the resources at his fingertips in terms of coaches and Paul Levesque and Shawn Michaels in NXT, like he's going to be able to mold his game and kind of refine what he brings to the table in a way that I just don't think he was able to do in AEW. This leads me to my next question. Is this a major fumble for AEW, losing a guy like Ricky Starks, a la NXT and WWE losing Swerve, right? Like, is it that type of miss on their part that they just couldn't figure out a way to use this guy?
It's so hard, right? Because I feel like there are guys who just fit different systems. I think Ricky is a guy who's tailor-made for WWE, and I think Ricky knows he's a guy who's tailor-made for WWE. Same with Ethan Page, right? Ethan Page is a guy who is tailor-made for WWE, and we've seen that since he was brought over. Conversely, Ricochet, square peg, round hole in WWE, right? Like he goes over to AEW and he is thriving from a character perspective. You brought up Swerve Strickland, same difference. Like there are different systems, there are different molds. Guys like Malakai Black and Miro, who are also released on Monday, they didn't fit. They didn't work out for one reason or another in the AEW system. So it's hard for me to sit here and say, yes, they fumbled this guy or yes, they fumbled that guy, because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like I thought when CM Punk, that whole situation happened, which was back in 2023, right? Was it all the way back then? So yeah, 2023, I'm sitting there like, okay, the whole mess with CM Punk happens. He gets let go. He goes to WWE. Like the guy he was working with at the time was Ricky. They built an entire show for CM Punk and now he's gone. Now you need an anchor. Ricky to me was the anchor. Like that was the guy you could have built the entire show around. But then we find out all this time later that it was right around the time that Ricky went to AEW and said, hey, don't pick up my option. I don't want you guys to pick up my option. Well, if you got a guy who comes in and says, hey, I don't want you to pick up my option 6 months from now, you're not going to build a brand around him.
No.
They still used him to Tony Khan's credit, but then they did pick up the option and they benched him. That's what I have the problem with, right? And Ricky, all reports indicate like, hey, look, yeah, I just want to work at this point. You pick it up, great, just use me. I'll do whatever you want, just let me work. So I don't know why it took that long for him to hit free agency. I don't know why you pick up the option and then just choose to bench him. Like you're hurting yourself because you're just paying this guy to sit at home at that point, right? So yeah, there's always things that are going on behind the scenes that we don't know. So it's hard for me to sit here and say, did they fumble this guy? I don't know. I feel like he's a guy who definitely upped his status in AEW. If he's not in All Elite Wrestling, is he in WWE right now? Maybe, possibly. Is he as big a star from Jump as he is right now? Absolutely not.
No question.
Same thing could be said with Jade Cargill. Same thing could be said for Ethan Page. Like they came in immediately and they had the recognition. They had name recognition. They've been on national television. The hardcore wrestling fans know them. And the second he gets up to the main roster, the casuals will get caught up. So it's hard to say that, yeah, he was fumbled, but clearly there was some kind of a disconnect here. And it just seemed like AEW wasn't the right place for him. I think he's in the right place now.
Yeah, I do too. And yeah, fumble. It's tough to say, really, as you mentioned. The one thing if I'm AEW that I'm looking at here is like, what was the disconnect, and how can we prevent that from happening with other talents? Because you don't want to be the company that like gets talent from here to here and is not able to then push them up to that next level. You just get them ready to go right over to WWE and, just be dropped in. You don't want to be that. Whether you want to make sure that you have an environment that cultivates growth for your talent, and then you can recognize and realize potential that you have in Ricky Starks. And you've seen it in AEW. It's not like they've fumbled everybody. As we've mentioned Swerve, we've mentioned Mariah May, we've mentioned Tony Storm, I think falls into that bucket. Like, there's a lot of success stories there too. So that would be more, if I'm Tony Khan, I'm thinking, okay, why weren't we able to make this work? And let's make sure that we don't have to go through this same issue again with next talent. Why?
Right. And here's my thing with Ricky, right? Because you know who he is, you know what he can do. He's a talent that the audience was behind, especially in AEW. Like we were screaming for like more Ricky Starks, right? Yeah. So you picked up his option. He was willing to work. Instead of benching him, push him to the freaking moon. Yeah. Spend the next year making him the face of your brand and say, hey, look at this. Look at the success that we're having. Now, it's a gamble. It's a gamble because he could immediately then go over to WWE like he probably always planned to anyway, right? But still, you have a year of marketability and success, and you're making money, and maybe the ratings are better than they were when Ricky was on the bench, especially Collision. If you build that entire show around him, there were two different philosophies you could go with. It's either, all right, well, let's just sit him because he doesn't want to be here, or it's, well, let's make him want to be here.
That's it, right. Right.
So, and they obviously chose the other direction. I don't know why. Again, extenuating circumstances. Who knows what discussions were like? Who knows what was going on behind the scenes? I would have gone with the other option of, all right, you don't want to be here right now. I get it. You're not happy with your position in the company. Let's elevate you. Let's give you the ball. Let's let you run with it. And if you decide to become a free agent at the end of it, so be it. But I'm going to give you every chance to succeed here and try to change your mind and prove to you that you want to be here. That's the direction I probably would have gone, but I'm not in Tony Khan's shoes either, so I don't know.
Well, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Like when you don't see like sports teams like benching their most popular guy or their biggest star just because they're going to become a free agent. No, they use them. They try to put him in the best position to succeed and get the most that you can out of him before that person potentially leaves. You brought up Miro and you brought up Malakai Black, also free agents from AEW. I think those two are hurt. Like, the perception of them in the wrestling ecosystem is hurt more so than Ricky Starks is at this time. I don't know that Miro and Black get the same type of like response that Ricky did in NXT. I think it'd be good, but with Ricky, there's a freshness to him that I don't think would be there with Malakai Black or Miro. What do you think of their pending free agency?
I don't think they're going to be free agents long. I think part of the reason why Ricky is in NXT is because I think one or both of these guys are going to be back on the main roster in WWE. And that's not a report, by the way. That's just a gut feeling. I feel like Malakai, because I'm looking at some of these stars who are on the main roster right now, and I'm trying to figure out their WrestleMania plans, and I'm like, I don't know what they are, but maybe a guy like Malakai comes in and works with a guy like Damian Priest. If reports are true that Drew McIntyre is going to be turning a different direction, maybe you bring in you bring in a Malakai, Aleister Black, as he would probably be called in WWE again, and you put him up against the Damian Priest. Maybe you go that direction. I think Miro gets welcome back. Heroes welcome, honestly, from the WWE fans, because I feel like he's been gone for so long from not just from WWE, but this is a guy who signed a 4-year contract extension, wrestled 8 matches, and hasn't been seen since December of 2023.
That guy, man, wow.
Like, now his reputation has taken a bit of a hit because. And casual fans don't give a crap, right? They're not reading They're not reading all the dirt sheet stuff where it's like, oh, well, creative differences, and he didn't want to put anybody over, and he didn't like this, he didn't like that, and finally it just went radio silent, and they benched him. Like, I think that was the book on Malakai too, right? It's like he didn't want to put anybody over, he didn't want to lose, right?
That doesn't work for me, brother.
Right, exactly. The Hulk Hogan stuff, right? Doesn't work for me. Again, I don't know if that's the case. I'm not an inside reporter guy. Don't want to be. I don't need to be airing people's dirty laundry. So again, I don't know what was going on. I don't know what those conversations were like. I don't know what Malakai or Miro's point of view on certain things were. Things obviously didn't work out. I know Triple H loves him some Aleister Black. So I think Aleister Black is going to get every chance to succeed on the main roster if and when he shows up. I think he'll be on SmackDown very, very shortly. Maybe they finally pair him up with Zelina on screen. I've talked to him years ago, and he said, that is not something I'm interested in doing because we are two separate entities. But I do find that Zelina being moved over to SmackDown away from the LWO, I find that to be very, very interesting. So there's maybe some potential there. I think Miro shows up on Raw. I think he is instantly back over. I would love to see them keep up with the Redeemer, God's favorite champion stuff. It was so good. Yeah. Like if he comes back and he's doing the Rusev Day and he's just evil foreign guy again, and they just pick up with Rusev where they left off with him, there's such a cap. There's such a limit on that. The the Miro presentation that we saw, the Redeemer, that is money written all over it, and is also a guy I think that AEW could have pushed to the top of the card, which is probably what he was looking at doing, right? I think if WWE could find a way to tweak that and, do the whole, broken into woken kind of situation with Miro here, and I'd even call him Miro if they can pull that off. I don't know who has the rights to the name, but I think he would be a main event level guy.
He's so far past that Rusev Day thing. I think the wrestling fans have just seen like more from him, more range, more depth to a character, his ability to, he just is that's one note. That's as one note gets. And I think he brings just so much more to the table than just that.
And here's the thing, like they had money with that. They had money and they could have gone.
They still didn't go with it. Yeah.
No, like Vince just like shoved his foot on top of him like he was trying to smash a trash can down, right? Like I could fit more crap in here. Like he's just trying to pushing him down and not letting him. I've never understood that. Like that whole Vince McMahon philosophy where guys would reach the level that he wants them to be at, and then he would cap them and he would just set them there because like, no. This is where I want you. You're not a top level guy because I don't want you to be. I've never understood that. And it's one of the things that I appreciate with the Triple H regime is where it's like, I genuinely don't know if Jey Uso ever would have won a Royal Rumble. A guy like a Jey Uso ever would have run a Royal Rumble under Vince McMahon. Like Vince would have booked John Cena or CM Punk or the Roman Reigns.
Cena. It would have been Cena for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Even if Cena was like, no, we should put over this guy because look at the reactions he's getting. He's money. We're printing money here. Even Vince would have been like, no, we're gonna do John Cena and whoever at WrestleMania, right? Like, so I appreciate Triple H's willingness to survey the landscape and be like, okay, yeah, no, we got a massively over guy here. Let's give him a shot with the ball.
Yeah, both Black, Aleister Black, and Miro, and and Ricky Starks now. I mean, they all enter this new WWE with Triple H, and especially Rusev and Aleister Black. Like it's a new ball game for them. It's an absolute new ball game for them with a new creative regime. Let's pivot to a different discussion point here. Last night on AEW Dynamite, we got an official announcement for Cope versus Mox for the AEW World Championship at Revolution. I mean, I think to me, Cope is one of like the stronger challengers that Mox has had in his title run so far, but that's not a ringing endorsement of Cope as a challenger. I think it's more of an indictment on who he's faced up to this point. What did you think of how they got to this match yesterday? Was it too cute by half? Like, Your take.
I wasn't really a big fan of it. Like, he steals the briefcase and then he's threatening to like smash the briefcase and do all this other stuff. And it's just like, why would John John doesn't give a damn about that. Like he's locked up the championship in a briefcase. Like
it just doesn't have to look at it. Right.
Right. Exactly. Like it just doesn't seem like it's something that would push John over the edge. There's just something so about this, like the Death Rider stuff. Like I feel like after they peak so early with Bryan Danielson and, taking the title off of him and putting him on the shelf without having him being able to kind of come back and work off of, they have really been steadily going downhill trying to figure out the direction with this, and I don't know what the direction is. And I listened to Jon Moxley talk, and I've always considered John to be one of the best promos in all of professional wrestling. And it's like I listen to him talk now, and I'm just like, there is something missing here. I don't know what it is. I'm not smart enough to figure it out, but it's not all clicking, and I don't hear the same conviction in John. Like I just don't feel like he believes what he's saying when he's saying it anymore. And even starting this thing up with Adam Copeland, like, I interviewed Adam Copeland for this channel. That interview is available now, and it's like listening to him talk about him coming back, and you need me to work with Jon Moxley because of the Max deal and this, that, and the other thing. Well, okay, let's go ahead and dive into this now because you need a marketable face and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, I understand diving into this for the business reasons, but did you have a strong enough story to dive into it?
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I just don't know if it's that there, if it's there. Like I look at some of the other stories that are going on in AEW right now, especially comparatively speaking, Mariah and Tony, what they have done in a very, very short time with Harley and Mercedes, Swerve and Ricochet, obviously, the Omega Powers and the Don Callis family. There's a lot of history there. And then I look at this and I'm just going, boy, it feels like they're trying to squeeze blood from a stone here on this one. And it's just not, despite the names, despite the star power, and despite the fact that I think this match is going to be great between the two of them, it's going to be a bloody spectacle. Something about the build for me just isn't working, and I wish I could put my finger on it.
I really didn't like how they treated, like, remember that promo a couple weeks ago about Jon Moxley where he explains, like, this is why I'm putting the title in the briefcase. I don't need this prop. Everybody knows I'm the champion. Everybody knows I'm the best. I'm the king, right? So I don't need to be carrying this around. And then fast forward 2 weeks, and it's like now that prop is somehow the like the fire that lights this whole thing, or the match that lights this whole thing. Like, I was just like, oh no, like you kind of missed the essence of that Moxley. The whole Moxley thing that he put out there, you kind of just killed it all. You threw a bucket of cold water on it because you used that very thing as the catalyst for the match when Mox shouldn't really care about it. And what I think about when I think about the Death Riders is a lot of that. It's a lot of like, oh, we're gonna do this great idea 1 week, and then like the next thing we do, you're gonna like make it really, really cold. You're going to throw a bucket of ice on it. You set yourself back. You're kind of just all over the place with it. It doesn't have a lot of consistency. And I thought you saw that firsthand last night. I also found myself chuckling when Cope was like, yeah, I love this title. How dare you don't think I do? And then he just starts wailing on it with the with the like, it's like, I get what you're going for. It just doesn't look great. It makes you laugh when that's not the reaction he's going for.
Yeah, no, like I look at this match coming up at Revolution, and I'm sitting here, I'm going, you know who I'm rooting for? Christian. That's who I'm rooting for right now. Like,
and that's
I feel like that's the hard reset we need. I genuinely feel like that's a hard reset that we need, where it's like, okay, things aren't working. Let's pivot off of this. And I think the direction that everybody saw when this all went down was, oh, okay, so they're setting this up. It's Moxley, it's the Death Riders. They're gonna be this epidemic that takes over AEW and makes it their own company, kind of like, not to draw NWO comparisons, but yeah, kind of NWO-ish. Where they're like, I think maybe that's what they maybe even need to kind of do, is where it's like there's no like battle lines being drawn. There's nobody joining the Death Rider side. It's just these guys show up, they beat up people. There's hardly ever any really like payoff to them beating people up. Maybe Marina and Willow will do something after Willow got attacked. Maybe they'll follow up on that. We'll see. But it's like I outside of like Jay White and Adam Copeland getting together, like I want to see some other people kind of like get on the Death Rider side, right? Like we've seen the opposition kind of gang up against them, and they're slowly taking people out. Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin, one at a time. Again, though, man, it's not progressing on a week-to-week basis. It's not getting more interesting for me. I'm just sitting here and I'm like many other people who are watching this story unfold. It's like, okay, can we get a new champion now? Like, and I love John. Like, I genuinely do. Like, he's my guy, Cincinnati guy, right? Like, nothing against John, just what is going on right now for me and so many others isn't working. So I find myself going, let's put it on Christian, and then let's put it on Kenny Omega and call it a day.
Yeah. Get in the Kenny Omega business this year. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. Let's get into some quick hits here as we wrap up show number 1. We got two kind of big shows this weekend, or big-ish shows, I would call them. We got AEW Grand Slam Australia, and we have NXT Vengeance Day. We're not going to necessarily do a full-on preview of these, but I do want to get some picks out there, have a little fun. Let's see who wins at the end of this weekend. We've got AEW Grand Slam Australia first.
Yep.
The presumed main event, Mariah May against Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. This has been pretty well built. Rick, where are you at on this, and who are you taking to win?
Oh God, it's this one is so hard for me, right? Because like I feel like you have to give Australia something, right? You have, for me, like I look up and down this card and I'm like, okay, you got so many hometown people on this card, but I'm like, okay, who's winning? Who's winning? Who's going to have that moment, right? And if it's not Harley Cameron, which it totally should be, I feel like you got to give this one to Toni. I think you close it out. You have Toni pull off the redemption, the comeback. She takes the title from her protege, and she becomes the girl again, and she's a 4-time AEW Women's Champion at this point, and then they can run it back at Revolution, and you can continue the story that way. I don't know where you go if Mariah wins, unless she screws her over, cheats, something of that nature. Maybe, she brings in her own protege into there's get another girl involved. I'm just spitballing here, but like you need something to keep this storyline going because it is so good. I do not expect this to be a blow off. I give Toni the win here. Yeah,
Toni. I'm taking Toni to win also, and it's because of the Australia factor. It's because I think that win for her makes the most sense, and also like you said, that's the best avenue to keep this thing hot is her winning and Mariah trying to now get it back. So. Yeah, look at that. Toni Storm, 4-time AEW Women's Champion. Crazy. You mentioned it. TBS Championship on the line. Mercedes Moné against Harley Cameron. I'm going to take Mercedes Moné here, but I will just quick sidebar. I thought the Harley Cameron stuff from Dynamite this week was money. Like the rap was fun and that was fine.
Yeah.
But the real money was in that promo afterwards. Her on the steps talking right into the camera, like that's where like the money promo is. That's where you see like, okay, this is not a flash in the pan gimmick act. It's a legitimate star that you have on your hands. I was super happy to see her pull that off.
Yeah. No small feat in that, right? Like in a matter of 2 minutes, we went from laughing our asses off at the puppet doing the whole CEO bit, right? To, oh, damn, this is a bop. Let's go, right? Like, we're digging this. We're having fun. Everything's great. Yeah. To, oh, damn, this is getting serious real fucking quick. And then it's like, by the end of it, you're like, I'm ready to run through a brick wall. Let's go. Like, she took us on an emotional roller coaster in that entire promo package. And that is everything that sells somebody to a wrestling fan base. And Harley Cameron, over the last several weeks, has gotten legitimate groundswell She upstart, whatever you want to say. There is momentum behind her, and you could really capitalize on that and really make her this weekend by giving her that moment where she pulls off one of the most stunning upsets in her home country, wins the TBS Championship, hands Mercedes Moné her first loss in AEW. It could be a fluke win. It could be inside cradle, right? I don't care what it is. Mercedes could dominate the entire stretch of that match.
Yeah.
You still have the crowd getting behind her and getting behind Harley, and she steals one. You know, something. Mercedes gets cocky. I don't know what it is, right? But like however you decide to go about it, however quick, it's 3 seconds. It's 3 seconds. If Kurt Hawkins can win his first match in like, I don't know, however many at WrestleMania, right? Like, give Harley this moment. She doesn't need to have some year-long title reign. She could lose it at AEW Revolution. She could drop it to Deonna Purrazzo. You could give her a Zack Ryder-esque title run with this thing. But actually, like, giving her the win, having her, that kind of clout to be the one that beats Mercedes the first time, wins her first championship, and only her second win ever on AEW programming. Like, that's how you make a star. And that's how you show fans that you as a company are invested in somebody and they're worthy of you then putting your investment into them. I think Harley's earned this moment. I 100% do, as I pull my freaking headphones down here. I would pull the trigger, and I'm going to manifest it. Harley fucking Cameron wins the goddamn TBS Championship this weekend. Pardon my French. I'm passionate about this one. That's my girl right there.
And the thing, too, with this is, like, at some point you're going to want to get out of Mercedes Moné holding the TBS Championship. And is it
an elevator, bump her up?
Yeah, right. She's got to get bumped up, and which means she's got to lose that title. And so, you want that win to mean something. And does it mean something if Toni Storm beats her? No, it doesn't. Does it mean something if Mariah May beats her? No, not. I mean, you want to use this to your advantage, and I think you're right. I don't know that they're ready yet, but I think that,
like, where does Mercedes go? Like, who's her next opponent?
That's it, right?
Like, and then what? Right? This is something our colleague SP3 always says. All right, and then what? There's a different avenues I could see them going with Harley as the TBS champion, right? You could give her a short run. You could dive right back into the vendetta. You can move on to and like actually have something of substance for them to do after they kind of started their own little rivalry here. And again, you could bump up Mercedes, and you could have her and Tony in Dallas, or you could do Mercedes and Athena in Dallas. Like this, unless you're moving Athena up from Ring of Honor to AEW to challenge Mercedes for the TNT or the TBS Championship, I'm putting it on Harley because I don't know where Mercedes goes from that point.
Yeah. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Jay White and Cope versus the Death Riders. It's a Brisbane brawl. I'm expecting a lot of blood in this one too. It's Jon Moxley and Claudio on the Death Riders side of things. Rick, who you taking?
I look at this as a house show match. Basically, good guys win. I'm going to take Cope and Jay White. I think Cope pins Claudio to get the W.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we got another hometown guy. Buddy Matthews challenging Kazuchika Okada for the AEW Continental Championship. I think Buddy is he is not going to get the hometown victory here. So this is Okada all the way. I am expecting a good match out of these two, though.
Oh, this is match of the night. Like, honestly, match of the night, right? Like, it's going to be great. Best of Australia, best of Japan, marquee, sells itself. But Okada's winning. Nefarious tactics, but Okada's winning.
Yes, and a lot of the bitch word flying about.
There are going to be some fingers flying. Yeah.
Yes. All right, then last but not least on this show, Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay against Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita. This one's a little bit harder to call, just because I think you've got the Don Callis family who are, positioned as one of the top heel acts in the company, but it's Kenny Omega's return match. I think you want to use this to set up singles matches out of this. So I'm going to take the baby faces here too.
I'm going to go Omega Powers.
Okay.
I could go. You could convince me either way. I'll get nervous if a screwdriver shows up, though.
Yes, for sure. All right, let's pivot. NXT. It is Vengeance Day in Washington D.C. Kind of an annual event for them. It's kind of a, I don't know. To me, on the surface, it's a bit of a bland card, just because it's right before you're going to build to Stand and Deliver. There's a lot of multi-person matches in here for like your big titles. You don't have that kind of signature bout. However, I do think there's a lot of talent in some of these. And so, I wouldn't sleep on this show from that perspective. The world title match, NXT Heavyweight Championship, Obafemi defending against Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. This is one of those kind of bizarre, predictable multi-person matches. I don't see Obafemi losing here, but let me ask you, because I don't think you disagree with that. Do they do enough with this match to make you kind of get interested in it, or not so much?
I mean, only in the sense that Austin Theory is probably his best talent is getting his ass kicked. Like he's just one of those guys you love to see get beat up. Grayson Waller too. Like, I think the match is going to be good. Don't get me wrong. But like, seriously, you could just start digging their graves now. Like, Oba's going to murder these two guys. Like, that's just what's going to happen.
That's a fact of life, as LA Knight would say. We got the NXT Women's North American Championship on the line. Fallon Henley against Stephanie Vacure. I have really liked what Stephanie Vacure has done on the main roster. She we talk about Ricky Starks being somebody that just fits in that WWE world. Stephanie Vacure is the same way, if you ask me. Even more so than than I think Julia up till this point. There's just a nice fit there. I would not. I'm going to pick Stephanie Vacure just because in no world should Fallon Henley be pinning Stephanie Vacure. So I'm going to take Stephanie here.
I would have said the same thing about Shotzi too, just to be
yeah. Well, don't remind me. Don't remind me. I'm taking Stephanie. I can't do it. I can't.
Yeah, no. There is just a presence. Like, she has a presence about her, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
We were there. She showed up at the Royal Rumble, and like, even people who didn't know who she was like,
whoa.
Oh, okay, she about to whoop some ass,
yeah.
right? Like, she's just got that kind of presence. And this is somebody who, in all fairness, Mercedes Moné helped kind of put on the map with a lot of wrestling fans. This match they had at Forbidden Door. She really let her shine in that matchup, and then she immediately rewarded AEW with that by going to WWE. So I think Stephanie's winning this hands down. It's her time. I think this brand, especially after this weekend, is hers and Julia's to run in the women's division.
All right, then we have up next Ethan Page against Javon Evans. Grudge match here between Page and Evans. You had the angle with Javon Evans and Page just taking him out. Taking out his throat, right? This has been a feud that I think going into it, you'd kind of say, really? Like, Javon Evans and Ethan Page, this isn't going to work. But I think that they've got it to a really good point, like in terms of being a NXT level feud, nothing that's going to main event WrestleMania, but it's pretty straightforward. You got a heel doing heelish things, and you got the ultimate babyface who's going to try to, overcome the odds and win. Because I don't see this as the blow off to this, I am going to take Page here, and with one more match, between the two, maybe at WrestleMania weekend, Stand and Deliver. So I'm taking Page, but overall, I like these two paired together. I think they have some chemistry.
Yeah, I think it is the blow off. I'm picking Evans. And I'm picking Evans because of a little assist from Mr. Ricky Starks. I think Ricky and Ethan is a great direction to go off the bat in NXT for Ricky Starks. I think he'll be there this weekend. I like that spot for him. Either that or he's going toe-to-toe with Obafemi, like, right off the bat. We'll see how they decide to play him.
Yeah. Oh, man, Mark Fred, I like yours better. So, all right, NXT tag titles on the line. Fraxium against Josh Briggs, and I think it's Yoshiki Inamura. This is a bit of a weird match. I mean, Briggs and Inamura have been hovering around the NXT tag team titles, but they're pretty undefined. You don't know if they're heels or baby faces. I think Fraxium is just on too good of a run right now. I'm keeping the belts on them.
Yeah, they're keeping the belts. I mean, especially after what we saw on TNA this week, like they're keeping the belts until they face the Hardys, at least. So yeah, they're winning.
And then we have the women's NXT Championship. Julia defending against Roxanne Perez, against Bayley, against Cora Jade. This was the other match where I'm like, yeah, it's multi-person. There's a lot in this. The outcome is likely pretty much right there for you to take and look at. But man, there's a lot of talent in there. Lots of talent. This could be. I mean, I think you're looking at the match of the night here with all that talent in there. It's going to be hard to mess this one up. I think Julia retains. I think Cora Jade probably does the job, but I'm not looking forward to this because I don't know who's going to win. I'm looking forward to this because I think it's just going to be a heck of a match.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm also looking forward to this because I'm firmly in the belief this is Roxanne's swan song. Roxanne has somebody who is for a long time now been ready to move up to the main roster. She could become the 3-time NXT Women's Champion this weekend and make even more history, but to what end? Like, I don't see the purpose in putting the belt back on her and then, keeping her down there. The writing's already on the wall for her. She's got a qualifying match for Elimination Chamber on Monday against Raquel Rodriguez. I'm fully expecting her to qualify. She's going to continue this feud with Bayley. I think Roxanne and Bayley take each other out of the equation, cancel each other out. They're going to end up focusing on themselves too much to not win the NXT Women's Championship. And it comes down to Julia and Cora Jade. Cora's kind of a wild card. I don't know what her trajectory is right now. I don't know how close she is to the main roster after missing, so much time. Maybe she could use a little bit more time down in NXT. Yeah. I don't think she wins it this weekend. If anybody is going to win it off of Julia, I think it is Cora Jade, but I do agree with you. I think maybe it would not surprise me actually to see Roxanne kind of do the job, right? And leave NXT on her back, go up to the main roster, come up on Monday, qualify for Elimination Chamber, and then she's off and running. Whatever her WrestleMania plans are going to be. I would love to see Roxanne and Bayley one-on-one at WrestleMania. I just don't know if they're going to have the room on the card for that match.
That's the thing. Yeah. Even on a 2-night show. Yeah.
Yeah. There's especially with all the championships they have, man, they got like 17 championships they're going to have to defend. Like if you are on a non-title, how many one-on-one non-title matches are there going to be at WrestleMania? If you're in one of those, they love you. They like you a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah. If you are in it's almost more special to be in a one-on-one non-title match at WrestleMania than it is to be in a title match at WrestleMania at this point.
Roman Reigns might not even be in a one-on-one title match.
No, he's not going to be. He'll still be in the main event.
Right. But he doesn't get that singles match, man. That's special. Yeah. All right, it's Vengeance Day. It's both these shows are gonna be worth checking out. We'll have it covered for you at the Takedown on SI. Make sure you're checking out our website.
I talked to Roxanne Perez, by the way. I did. I interviewed her. I forgot about that. That article is going to be up, I believe, Saturday morning on the Takedown on SI. So check that out.
Don't miss it, guys. Thanks so much. Episode number 1 in the books. Hit like on the video if you can. Comment. We would love to see your comments. If you have questions or topics you want us to get to, you know where to hit us up. Definitely do that. This is the Takedown Discussions. I'm Zach. That's Rick. Talk to you real soon. See ya.
See you next Friday.